and the next talk will be in English. So I hope it's okay. And it's going to be Katerina KRSTESKA to present her work in the Nature4Nature program. And she's a PhD candidate working on microplastic filtration.
Hello, everyone. Let's see how close to the mic I should be. I'm sorry that this is in English, but I'm happy to be here, very happy to be here. I want to introduce to you a unique and exciting project called Nature4Nature. It is a part of the Marie Curie Foundation and funded by the European Union. My name is Katerina, and today here, my colleague Laila was supposed to be, but she's in for surgery at the moment. A little drama for the documentary filming. And we're both pursuing our doctorates within this program, and we started at the autumn of 2023, so first year still. Let's begin with a common issue we all face, and that I assume you're all aware of. The severe plastic pollution in our seas has a devastating impact on life on Earth. And imagine that many of you may agree that the solution might lie within nature. But how might bioinspiration be used to tackle global challenges such as this one? And crucially, how might we collaborate across disciplines to achieve this? And within Nature4Nature, we see the main hurdle in preventing bioinspiration from unleashing its full potential to lie within the differences in tools, practices, and viewpoints of its practitioners. So how do we make biological knowledge accessible to designers and to engineers? And how do we make or introduce engineering and design thinking to biologists? How can we create products that not only attract the market, but importantly, focus on restoring and regenerating ecosystems? And this is what we hope to answer. And within Nature4Nature, we aim to create a language that would facilitate interdisciplinary collaboration to accelerate knowledge transfer across the team and its experts. And what we feel is lacking today, and what we hope to create, is some sort of platform where stakeholders can interact with academia and make use of the readily available scientific knowledge. And we aim to develop tools, methods, and techniques that facilitate innovation and creativity. And within these, eco-criteria should be present to enable sustainable, bio-inspired designs, which would encourage designers to work towards the restoration of disrupted ecosystems. And our project spans over 5 countries and 10 institutions, of which 9 are each a host to a PhD candidate. And what makes this project particularly exciting is that each doctorate within this, me and Laila included, will use the challenge of microplastic pollution as a shared case study for developing a filtration system inspired by 3 aquatic organisms. And we take inspiration from aquatic filter feeders. So one being the manta ray, a model organism already studied for filtration and patented filter concepts. And the next, the American paddlefish, also studied for its filtration mechanisms, but not as far developed as the manta ray. And last but not least, the duck, which has not yet been studied for bio-inspired filtration. And as a consortium, us 9 PhD candidates work very closely together. We are loosely divided into 3 groups. The first one, to the left, focuses on improving the way we find inspiration in nature. The second one focuses on integration, or rather abstraction, of biological principles. The third group, to the right, just below transfer, is aiming to find various ways to implement these biological principles into the design process and into the innovation. And in the next few minutes, we will present Laila's and my project, but as she is not here, I will do it for her, and I hope to do it well. And as you can see, she is at one end of the biological knowledge spectrum. She contributes to the generation, and I am on the other side contributing to the transfer. So Laila is exploring tongue and beak filtration in dabbling ducks, meaning ducks who filter on the water surface. And despite having a pre-established problem of filtration, her research makes this project unique in its approach in two ways. In contrast to the commonly used model organisms, her research focuses on dabbling ducks which have not previously been researched for bio-inspired filtration. And in general, filter mechanisms of ducks are not well known. The second, she will pay special attention to the integration of biodiversity, ecology, and evolution in the biomimetic process. And while often only one species is used for inspiration, she'll be looking at a diversity of species which filter in different ways, different particle sizes, in different environments with different shapes. And the purpose of looking into several species is to find which morphological structures are important in the filtration mechanisms, and build 3D models from CT scans of the skull and the entire feeding system, and then perform comparative anatomy studies of the different duck species. And using phylogenetics, meaning taking into account the relationship between species, Laila aims to find evolutionary patterns in the filter systems of ducks, which can help extracting the most relevant biological information for abstraction. And in summary, the idea is to find some correlation between the shape of the feeding system and the way animals are feeding, taking into account the phylogenetics previously mentioned, to map the links between the shape and the function. This is very useful from a bioinspiration point of view because you can extract principles for design. And next is my part, and I'm a product designer. I am hoping to enable designers to address environmental challenges, as it seems that there's no particular way in doing this as far. So I will share my insights since this autumn when I started, and I'll use a metaphor. So this is me, and this is you, all of us, and we're all trying to have some sort of impact, right? That's why we're here. And but to focus on me, a junior design researcher, I really want to enable designers to have a positive environmental impact. And how do I envision this? I'll be using the metaphor of a bow and arrow to describe how I see sustainable bio-inspired innovation. And these components will help describe the different aspects of this process, and I will guide you through each of them to show what I consider important in the development of sustainable bio-inspired innovation. Everything starts with an entity, such as that little character there, trying to initiate development to produce an innovation, be it a corporation or a designer. Our ethics and our values give direction to the innovation. What we value in the end turns up in the impact. Let's say we value profit above all else. That is likely for our innovation to take that direction and often cut corners in some critical aspects for sustainability. If we value thriving ecosystems, our ethics should reflect that. But in that case, where do we get our ethics from? The ecosystems we design for? And if so, who has the responsibility to represent that ecosystem? To accelerate sustainable bio-inspired innovation, we need different expertise and perspectives to understand the complexity of the environmental problem we're trying to address. And we need creativity to solve them. And this is why interdisciplinary collaboration is needed. The more diverse the team, the more creativity. To do that, we need force. And such a force could be a language developed for biologists and engineers to understand each other, such as the tool my colleague Jin Dong is developing in our PhD project. Another tool that can accelerate collaboration is one such as the Biomimicry search from CBOs, or a platform meaning to link industry and academia to find suitable partnerships, such as the one my colleague Dana is hoping to develop during her PhD studies. And with all our tools and collaboration, we still need a common way to do things. What gives us stability in our development is eco-design. For Nature4Nature, this is not only understanding how to filter microplastics, but to understand where to do it and why. And this is how we make sure that the sustainable is at all times present. The strength of the innovation stems from the proper translation of biological principles into design principles. For example, how do we make sure that we don't filter out small organisms like plankton along the way? And if the translation is the muscle, how strong is it? And how well do we filter the contaminant? Without harming, of course. And let's say that our technology is developed and everything thus far has gone as planned. What is going to make it stick around in society and in our lives? Each culture has a unique relationship to nature. And if we introduce a technology that improves an ecosystem for a society, we must make sure that this society is willing enough to pay for it and work for it. And it is here, when we understand that relationship, we will find the unique selling proposition, and we must have in our innovation. Each relationship will have their own, and what makes me buy a product is not necessarily what makes all of you buy a product, right? And it feels, or I've gotten the feeling that in biomimetics, we have placed a lot of emphasis on the strength, developing technologies, and some on force. But how about the rest affecting our innovation and the impact we want to create? And so within Nature4Nature, all of these aspects are considered, of which I focus on a few. I will try to understand the direction. I will look into the values that exist within companies and assess the ethics of designers. I will work on the force in the way that enables learning across the interdisciplinary team of 9 people. I'll try to understand what would make a sustainable innovation stay in society, and we'll explore the interconnectedness and interdependence between nature and culture. In our case, this might mean the relationship between our different cultures and the sea. And it is this that will help us find the optimal way to address this issue, meaning design a filter that is both culturally and environmentally relevant. So to give a summary, we have 9 PhD projects. Knowledge transfer, ecology, evolution, sustainability, and interdisciplinarity are our keywords. You can find us there on the map, and thank you very much for me.
Thanks a lot. It was crystal clear. Yeah, any questions? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for this fantastic introduction to your work. I find it very interesting that you talk about the direction and the ethics. I would like to challenge this, asking in how far we are actually going into a bubble, because we just had the European election, and there's this right-wing shift, and we have a societal climate in Germany. I come from Germany. We have a Green Party, and there's so much pressure against it. Like in psychoanalysis, there's the concept of Widerstand, so that you don't want to acknowledge something, and it seems that the entire society don't want to acknowledge that a change is needed. So in a way, your science is dependent on policy, but policy is not in a way right now where it would actually go on and fund this kind of project. How would you like to address, how would you address this, or how we all address this? Thank you.
Address the bubble, did you say? Or, oh, I don't know how to answer that. It's a almost philosophical question.
I mean,
you can elaborate.
Sorry, no. Could one? I mean, could one solution be? I mean, as a designer,
yeah,
you could work stealthily. I mean, you wouldn't have to promote your products as ecological, and still they could be. I mean, this could be like one strategy to do it. I mean, American corporate products were like that in the 50s. They did a lot of stuff underneath, like unconsciously. So that could be one strategy. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose. Regarding to the, let's say, propaganda from the US in the 50s or the 60s with single-use plastics and everything, sure, we could do the same thing for bio-inspired design and sustainable innovation if we want to have like a Machiavellistic approach. But I really try to isolate myself and make, for example, my PhD solemnly focus on sustainability, because this is the only time I have the freedom to do so and get paid for it. I will do it sort of merciless for sustainability, and then what we do afterwards or how we make that stick in society, I don't know. I hope we all can find a way to do so. Maybe that doesn't answer your question, but I hear you and I ask the same.
Maybe another question? Yeah, Annabelle.
Not so much a question, but maybe a reaction to the question posed earlier, that you're right that the political shifts within Europe and globally are not necessarily moving in the direction that our community would like to see. I think the question with microplastics is perhaps not just selling it as an environmental issue, but a human health issue. Most human beings, or recent research has shown that most fetuses studied around the world already contain microplastics. And I think that could be another way of engaging the public. Do you want your children, your unborn children, to have microplastics within them? And if not, how as a society can we begin to address the microplastic problem, filtration being one of them? And I think, you know, as a consortium, we understand that filtration is not necessarily the be-all and end-all of microplastic solutions to microplastic pollution. We also need to think upstream. One idea.
Thanks. I guess the answer will be collective in the end, whatever happens. So maybe one question would be, if anyone in this room is working on that kind of fields, what kind of partnership are you looking for that program that can help you? What kind of partnership, like industrialists, academics, or?
Well, first, our aim, of course, is to have a filter somewhere where every organism doesn't have or feed microplastics, I suppose humans and paddlefish. But to be realistic, we'll need partnerships with industry. We need to test prototypes that we develop and continue developing, iterating. And it would be great, it would be wonderful if there was some company, some organization, institution, governmental or private, that would help us with the testing so that we make sure that our prototype or our solution is anchored in reality, that it actually does work in real conditions. It's very, very important for the prototyping and for the development. We really, really want to create something that works. It's a few years, it's not a lot, but we're very, very ambitious and we have a great team. So if anyone knows someone or anyone is someone, feel free to approach any of us. Here in front I have Simona, I have Dana, and in the back I have Jindong with me. And Laila, I'll say hi, she won't hear me, but hope she's well.
Thanks again, it was great. And thank you very much for your presentation, and I think we will have to move to the next one. Thanks again.